In our current journey through the Californian deserts, you will get acquainted with many locations from GTA San Andreas previously unknown to you. The internet, almost since the release of the game, is full of information about the sensational 3 large cities on the map of San Andreas. Even outside the United States, players from all over the world see dozens of architectural references in the game and are informed that our Los Santos is a prototype of Los Angeles. San Fierro is based on the real San Francisco, and Las Venturas needs no introduction because it greets us with iconic landmarks repeating the same from Las Vegas. The game developers visited these 3 cities and took a lot of photo material to create textures. But a little earlier than the 20th anniversary of the first release of GTA San Andreas happened, we discovered another new city that influenced our environment in the game. This city is called Barstow. Barstow is a city in San Bernardino County, California, in the Mojave Desert of Southern California. Located in the Inland Empire region of California, the population was 25,415 at the 2020 census. Barstow is an important crossroads for the Inland Empire and home to Barstow Marine Corps Logistics Base. Barstow is named after William Barstow Strong, former president of the Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe Railway. But the discoverer of this city for fans of GTA San Andreas is Tom Nord, who, while reviewing photos on Flickr, once recognized in one of the signs of a liquor store a familiar sign that appears several times in different places of San Andreas countryside area. This is an undeniable and impeccable similarity, even despite some changes in the texture content from the developers. Having this find and determining the location of this sign, we began to explore the surrounding area in Google Street View, as well as reviewing photos of this city on various websites with hope of catching what could be a reference in GTA San Andreas. And now I will show you what we managed to find during the entire past time. On the main street, we can come across El Rancho restaurant, which once upon a time looked like this postcard. But in the 2000s, it slightly changed its appearance, and this is how it was captured in GTA San Andreas in several small towns. Moreover, all 3 restaurants in the game have differences between themselves, but this does not prevent us from recognizing the El Rancho restaurant in them. The building of this restaurant was damaged by fire in May 2011 and was completely destroyed during the following year. But now you know that it will never be destroyed on the San Andreas map and will remain in the memory of players of different generations. To the west of this place, one of the following buildings is a store, which is now called Neighbors Market, but once it was called Buzz's Mini Market. But what was here in the early 2000s can only be guessed. But it doesn't matter much to us, because in the game, the prototype of this store is used for a completely different fictional business called No. 1 Desert Home Furnishings. In San Andreas, this store can be found in Angel Pine, but there is also a nearly identical store in Fort Carson. It was created from extraneous textures, but the architectural shape of the building repeats the outlines of this store from Barstow with only minor differences. There is also another building very close by, which in shape could be a candidate for a reference for No. 1 Desert Home Furnishings, but I prefer the first. Starting to move east on the same side, we will come to a small building that looks like a business that has ceased to operate. But the inscriptions under the roof say that such a building could have been called Main Street Sandwiches. This is a very dubious reference, but I believe that this nameless establishment in the game was created based on this building. When creating the model of the building, extraneous textures were used, among which I was able to recognize the roof from the Texturama texture pack and the windows of this building created using a photograph of the USS Hornet aircraft carrier bridge. This is a unique building in the game. It has no repetitions of this model in other areas of the GTA San Andreas map, and in Barstow there is a slightly different version of such a building nearby. This is Starlight Donuts at 101 Main Street, but I will give preference to the Main Street Sandwiches if you pay attention to the design of the roof. A little further, on the opposite side of the road, there is the Village Cafe, a well-known place for the residents of Barstow and also for lovers of retro signs of such establishments. This sign was not honored to be in GTA San Andreas, but this cafe with the adjacent building on the right can be found in Fort Carson and in Angel Pine. The game prototype of these 2 buildings repeats the shape of the mount for the sign, despite the fact that the sign was not from this business. Also, these buildings in the game observe their order of location. The village cafe is always on the left, and the next building with a fragment of a wooden roof is located on the right. There is also a third place where you can spot a building made according to the reference from the village cafe, but without the second building on the right. This is the liquor store in Blueberry, which was supposed to be robbed by CJ and Catalina in the local liquor store mission, but other robbers are ahead of them, and for this reason we are in for an exciting chase on quads. You may also notice that on this section of the street, the road is divided into two halves with trees along the center line. This was done in the same way in Fort Carson on one of the streets that run perpendicular to the railroad. But moving east along the main street, you can see the Coldwell Banker Real Estate, a one-story blue building with a stone facade and a perpendicular sign on the roof, which is clearly visible to drivers driving along the main street. In San Andreas, such a building is created quite reliably, although only extraneous textures are still used. In the game version, this is a credit institution called Lovin alone. As a rule, since the time of GTA 3, it was noticeable that when trying to recreate a building from a prototype, the creator used reference of only its frontal part. And in this case, it is clearly understandable that all other sides of the building were fictitious based on an existing reference photo where only the front of the business is visible. Driving further in the same direction, after some distance along the southern side, we will see an old neon sign of Cactus Motel. And this is already a place that was not limited to creating a model using a reference. The author used the texture of the sign, and if you look closely at the details, you can determine that the texture was created from a photograph of the side of the sign that faces west. Of course, the motel name was removed from the sign, but its shape is repeated quite recognizably. I also have evidence that this green sign was previously painted to yellow. Perhaps this is how it was created for the game, because even on the texture, you can see the green color next to the letters, but the background space of the sign is yellow. The next place we will look at will be a business sign with the name DeLuxe Laundry and Cleaners. This sign was also made using a photograph for a texture. On it, you can see the exact name without any censorship of the logo, but with changed text written using a different font. This sign was removed along with its pole between April 2019 and March 2021. Next will be the sign of a liquor store called Top Hat Liquor, where our story began. The texture of this sign is slightly different between the PC version of the game and the PlayStation 2 version, where the Top Hat name been totally removed. Also in the game, this sign is designed slightly differently and does not copy the design of the shape of the real sign. From the time of photographing textures for GTA San Andreas to the present time, this sign has changed its design of the content several times, but its shape will remain the same. In the game, such a sign is used several times and is possibly an attribute for the storyline of the game, because one of these signs is present on the building from the local liquor store mission. And this sign can also be seen in Fort Carson in a building accessible to the player, which suddenly turns out to be a 24/7 supermarket. On the other side of the road, heading east, we will see the Budget Inn Hotel at 1111 Main Street. You can see the similarity in the color scheme of the building, as well as in the design of the large sign with the name of the hotel, which in the game was replaced with the fictitious name Inn Motel. Based on our research, the hotel was created in the game without using photos for textures, but the sign of this hotel definitely uses a photo of a real such sign and a board for text, which is located under it. This is the same hotel in Angel Pine, where CJ meets with Officer Tenpenny and gets acquainted with Truth, receiving another Badlands mission there. But besides this place, the same hotel is present in Fort Carson. In the game, this hotel sign in Fort Carson has a regular rotation animation, but this is an invention of the game developers. In a real hotel, this sign stands still, as it was done in Angel Pine. At the time of photographing the material for the textures in GTA San Andreas, this sign was turquoise like the hotel building, which can be seen by the unpainted part of its support pipe. But starting in March 2008, it was already blue and did not match the color of the hotel building. Between October 2015 and January 2017, this sign changed its color to red and brown, but much earlier, in 2012 or 2013, the entire hotel was painted brown. The next motel is called the Desert Inn and is located just across the street from the Budget Inn Hotel. But we are only interested in its sign in the center of the parking lot closer to the road. Among the game files, there is a texture with the entrance inscription, but we will not be able to see it in the game since this image is not used anywhere on the San Andreas map. But the other part of the sign with an editable letterboard can be seen in Fort Carson, right under the sign of the Cactus Motel prototype. The Barstow pillar with these signs will be removed between January 2017 and April 2019. But the hotel will continue to operate until the current time, based on information from the internet and the panoramas taken for Google Street View. Having covered quite a considerable distance to the east, after crossing the Barstow Freeway, we should have seen this building, which in GTA San Andreas is called a cafe, and we will remember it for its unusual shape and design. This building also has a long horizontal sign on 5 supports. But in the Google Street View panoramas, such a building is no longer there, and in its place there is a modern Starbucks. I would not be able to prove to you that it was here if I had not seen these 2 old photographs, where you can identify this cafe both by the rather rare shape of the sign and by the architectural details. To the left of this cafe in the photographs, you can see the Gateway Motel, which will later be known to us as the Travelodge Hotel. And in the game, there is a texture with a board for text, presumably this hotel with the same name. But there is no visual evidence of its presence in this place. Perhaps it will be surprising for you to know that on PlayStation 2 and GTA San Andreas, the Gateway Motel nameline was completely removed. There are many other places in Barstow that could have served as an inspiration for the game developers who were collecting references and material for textures. But we have formed the opinion that they do not have enough similarity, and for this reason cannot be confirmed as places that have an influence on the design of the environment in GTA San Andreas. As a rule, extraneous textures are used in these places, and they also have obvious inaccuracies in shape and design. From interesting facts, I can say that Barstow is located in the desert on the first half of the way from Los Angeles to Las Vegas. And based on this information, we can assume that Fort Carson is Barstow on the GTA San Andreas game map. In favor of this statement, we can attribute the number of buildings from Barstow that are present in Fort Carson. But I can remember only one exceptional case when a building from Barstow is used not in Fort Carson. Therefore, I concluded that Barstow is a city that helped the game developers fill the entire countryside environment with content. But Fort Carson is the original prototype of the city from which models were borrowed for other locations on the game map. And this was a rather necessary decision compared to the decision to use assets from GTA Vice City and some models from GTA 3, as was done in Angel Pine. At the moment, Barstow involvement in the GTA San Andreas game is unique information. Over the many years of the existence of the GTA San Andreas game, I have not come across a single publication or YouTube video about it on the internet. I even doubt that the residents of this city notice these familiar places in the game. The Wikipedia page has a lot of information about the films that were filmed in Barstow, but the GTA San Andreas video game is no less popular and still world famous. And it is also eternal as a cultural heritage, through which players can study the state and appearance of American cities, recorded in the early 2000s by developers from the Rockstar North Studio. Leave comments if you learned about all this for the first time, and also if you have any additional information on this topic. If you like this video, press a like button and also subscribe to my channel if you are interested in exciting details in GTA games. See you.